Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt and I'm your host for the Top 5 Builds video series. This month was the top 5 New York City style builds. Our judges were myself and a handful of Cube community staff and helpers. Before we get into the video, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It only takes a second and it really helps me out. Also, if you have a few minutes to spare, it would mean a lot if you checked out the Andean Skyline collection at ALPINEarch.com. In 5th place is the Inspiration Tower by the voxel.town architect team. This build is super cool, and they did a whole bunch of research before putting this together. It's 226 blocks from the ground to the tip of the antenna, and it's built at a 1.5:1 scale with fully furnished interior. There's a whole bunch of first floor shops, and if you go inside you have these 2-floor entryways, which makes it a lot more appealing to shop in. On the upper floors they have offices. The open windows on the first floor get people to come inside and spend more money. With other builds, I see it way too often where you have these blank walls on the first floor and it looks very unappealing and uninviting. I was also very pleased to see that they have a shear wall. Shear walls are basically giant hollow blocks of concrete that go all the way from the base to the top of the tower. You usually have the elevators and stairs inside these. A skyscraper is sort of like a tree, and the shear wall acts as the trunk, the floors and the ceiling as the branches, and the glass and everything else inside acts as the leaves. So if you want your tree to stand up, then you better have a strong trunk. I also noticed the layout of the elevators. They have it so that there's a corridor going straight through the middle of the shear wall, and then you have elevators lining each side. This is really common in North American office towers. I also like that they have reception as soon as you walk into the first floor, so that if you're lost, somebody will help you out. It's nice that they included lots of light into their design. There's a lot of clean designs for the shops and lots of little details, which makes it that much better. On top of all of this, the entire building is built on a diagonal, which is super hard to do. They even have a GameStop with a sign saying buyer's stocks, also known as the infinite money glitch. Another detail I noticed is that they have tension members going all the way up the side of the building on either side. If you've watched my second video, I talked briefly about them. So essentially, skyscrapers have their own weight to deal with, but they also have to resist wind and earthquake loads that could potentially sway the building side to side. Now, shear walls are made out of concrete, but concrete is really only good in compression when you squeeze it, and has only about 1/10 of the original strength when you try and pull it apart in tension. So this means for tall buildings, it really helps if you have diagonal steel sections to take that tension load. This is some great work by the voxel.town architect team, and I hope to see more entries from them. In 4th place, we have Creeper 2357 with the Woolworth Building. The Woolworth Building is an early American skyscraper located in the neighborhood of Tribeca. This neo-Gothic tower was the tallest building in the world from 1913 to 1930, with a height of 792 feet or 241 meters. It consists of a 30-story base topped by a 30-story tower. The Woolworth Building was originally planned to be a 12 to 16-story commercial building, but underwent several revisions during its planning process. Its final height was not decided upon until January 1911. Construction started in 1910 and was completed 2 years later. I found it really interesting that the height was decided as it was being built. I guarantee you'll never see that happening with any construction today. In 1998, the top 30 floors were sold to a developer, and in 2012 they were converted to condos. The building was designated as a National Historic Landmark in 1966. Creeper 2357 said that this is an older project of theirs, but they decided to update it for the contest. This tower is really cool because it has a very ornate facade that gives it a really neat sense of depth. In real life, this tower actually predates the 1916 zoning code that produced New York's iconic Art Deco stepped buildings. I was also reading about the structural components of this tower and noticed that they used metal tubes that were 5.8 meters in diameter and filled them with concrete. They then proceeded to drive those tubes into the ground down into the bedrock so that they would have a sturdy base. Thank you, Creeper 2357, for the submission. In 3rd place, we have Times Square by the Build the Earth Mindfact team. This is a recreation of the Times Square area, which is part of a 1:1 scale version of New York City in Minecraft. This build took around 1 month to complete. Times Square is one of the most well-known New York City landmarks. It's known for being a major tourist destination that's brightly lit up by billboards. The area brings in around 50 million visitors every year. New York City itself gets around 60 million visitors every year, so 10 million of those visitors do not go to Times Square. Times Square is also the hub of the Broadway Theater District and is one of the busiest pedestrian areas in the world. A fun fact about Times Square is that it's not actually a square, it's actually more of a bow tie shape. There's actually an interesting bylaw that requires Times Square to have a minimum amount of lighting to preserve the area's reputation. Thanks once again to the Mindfact team for this great submission. In second place is the Singer Building by Shower. This 187-meter tall tower was a real building completed in the year 1900 and was unfortunately demolished in 1968. Shower used a lot of online photos, floor plans, and even a 3D model. The back of this building is much less detailed and uses less fancy blocks since it's not visible from the street anyway. The building had undergone quite a few expansions originally, and they picked parts of multiple phases to build in-game. The building was composed of a 14-story base with a 27-story tower sitting on top. The facade was made of red brick, light-colored stone, and terracotta. For the decorative elements, 92 tons of sheet copper was used. The initial construction used load-bearing walls, but was changed to a steel frame 6 years later. The upgrade used German steel because the engineer at the time felt like it was much better than American steel. When Singer moved out of the building, it changed hands for a few years until the United States Steel Corporation bought it and then demolished it to make room for the new headquarters. Unfortunately, at the time, it was not a designated heritage building, which would have prevented the demolition. Thanks to Shower for this incredible build. And in first place is a 1-to-1 scale replica of Liberty Island by Build the Earth New Jersey team. Don't be fooled, the Statue of Liberty is not actually in New Jersey. The island itself is a part of New York, but the second you touch the water, you're in New Jersey. The island is an exclave of the state of New York, which means it's completely surrounded on all sides by New Jersey. This build team is super efficient because the entire island was completed in just 4 days. They put a lot of effort and care into making sure this build was as accurate as possible. There's interiors in all of the public structures, including the statue itself. They did a lot of research and used engineering plans to help them build. The Statue of Liberty was designated in 1984 as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The statue itself was a gift from the French to the United States during the American Revolution, commemorating their alliance. The statue was dedicated in 1886. The statue itself is made of copper, so it originally had a bronze tint to it, but underwent a chemical process known as oxidation over years and years, and it changed the color to the green we know today. If you're familiar with the Canadian Parliament and the buildings around it, you can see this process in action. This is a really fun area to explore, but unfortunately the server isn't open to the public just yet. Hopefully it will be eventually. Thank you once again for this incredible build. Thanks once again to everyone who entered this month's Top 5 series. The next build topic is modern day cities. It doesn't have to be a modern style city, but it should realistically fit into somewhere on Earth today. What I mean by this is no medieval or futuristic cities. This top 5 will have a much longer building period. The deadline is June 25th at 11:59 p.m. UTC. More information can be found using the link in the description. Make sure you read through all of it before building. I'm very excited to see what you all make.